Hello, my name is Teresa Quinn, and I'm a social worker with the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition. And today I want to show you a little bit about how to navigate just one tool that you have at your fingertips in order to find some individual therapy and support if that's what you're looking for as you navigate your ovarian cancer experience, whether that's you as a survivor, a caregiver, or you have somebody in your life affected by ovarian cancer and you're looking to get some individual therapy support around it. I want to show you one tool to be able to find that and how to navigate that. So what we're going to look at together is a website called Psychology Today. It is probably one of the largest directories of therapists in the US. And since NOCC is a national organization, it's a helpful tool just to be able to navigate and find a therapist in your specific area. So I want to show you kind of the different ways to navigate it. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and show you how to play around with this resource. So this is Psychology Today, psychologytoday.com. And I'll show you an example of what it may look like if you're looking for a therapist that specializes in cancer support, trauma, or grief and loss. And we'll do that just by walking you through exactly what that looks like. So for example, I'm in the Chicago area. And so if I am looking for a therapist in Chicago, I'm just going to go to Find a Therapist, Chicago, Illinois. You can see lots of different folks pop up. And so we want to start to filter down because Psychology Today is an enormous directory. You want to filter down so that way you find somebody as close to what you're looking for as possible. So for example, if you are interested in working with a female therapist, you'd click that. If you are open to online virtual therapy, let's assume that you are and click that. Of course, if you'd rather do in person, you can click that and then put in your zip code so you can find folks that are a little bit closer to you in geographical region. Let's think about online. So as you can see, lots and lots of therapists come up. Let's filter it down even a little bit more to folks that really specialize in cancer, grief and loss, and trauma. So you're going to go to Filters. And then you can see up here, popular filters, minimize that for a second. We already clicked female and online. The available can sometimes be helpful because many therapists will update their Psychology Today profile if they have a wait list or not. But for our purposes, it's not always going to be the most supportive because availability can change really frequently with therapists. There may be folks that are listed as available that have a wait list, vice versa. And so it may not be the most helpful tool for you right now. For specialties, you can see that grief is right here if that's something that you're managing. But if we go to show more, and we scroll down, you can see that cancer is a specialty within Psychology Today. That being said, of course, not everyone that works with cancer has this listed as a specialty. As a therapist, when you create a profile, you can only list about 3 specialties. And that's to keep folks from listing, 25 different specialties. So you can list your top 3 ones. And that's a great thing for this because we want to, have folks that are particularly focused in that. That being said, you can still find great therapists that wouldn't have this listed. But for our purposes today, we'll click that. If you have a particular insurance that you want to use, some cities are more likely to have therapists that take insurance versus not, but this can be a helpful tool to narrow it down. You can see that we have 400 therapists already on our list. So just for the sake of our practice today, let's click Blue Cross in Illinois. That tends to be the biggest provider of insurance. The type of therapy doesn't necessarily matter as much. If you have an idea of the kind of therapy that you're interested in, feel free to click this here. But this is one of those areas where a lot of therapists kind of just click almost every single one of them, unless there's a specific kind of therapy that you have advanced training in. So this one isn't as helpful, I would say, on Psychology Today. Again, you can see more types of therapy. Like if you're looking for an art therapist in particular, that could be something that you utilize. If you're looking for a play therapist for a kiddo, for example. But most therapists will click the majority of these, and so it may not be as helpful when you're thinking about narrowing down. For age, let's click adults. Most therapists will work with adults, but you can see I just got rid of 2 therapists on our list. Ethnicity, sexuality, and language, if those are components that matter to you specifically, feel free to filter down based on that, similar to faith. And then the price is typically not as helpful in Psychology Today. A lot of therapists won't list the price. If they take insurance, the price is going to vary. It depends on your copay. So this is a list. This is a component that's not going to be as helpful in my experience, at least. Most therapists will also say they offer a sliding scale. That doesn't necessarily mean they have sliding scale spots available just because they list it, but feel free to play around with that filter as well. So as you can see, we narrowed it down from thousands of therapists in Chicago to 344 that have cancer listed as a specific specialty. And once we have all these filters, and again, you can play around with all of them, we then have this list of a couple hundred therapists. That is obviously still quite a bit to filter through. But I just wanted to show you kind of what it looks like to really narrow down your search in a way that feels right for you. So for example, you'll start to see here, there's little videos. So for example, this means they offer online and in person, and then they have their zip code listed. So in your city, you'll kind of know what zip codes are closest to you. Verified, every Psychology Today profile should have that. It just means that you have entered your license number and they verified that you are a licensed provider. So that's not necessarily anything super special. And endorsements are just kind of endorsements from other mental health providers who have listed on their profile. So sometimes that can be helpful to hear a little bit more about their endorsements. The individual's license is going to be here. So for example, this person's licensed clinical professional counselor, this person's a psychologist, right? This one is a licensed clinical professional counselor, psychologist. You'll also see marriage and family therapist, licensed clinical social worker. Honestly, those distinctions are just about the type of education that they've received. And so if that matters to you, feel free to filter it down. But really, most programs in mental health, you have your initial education, and then it's really all about the training that you get outside of that. And so if it really matters to you, if that person has a doctorate or a master's, feel free to filter it down based on that. But at the same time, know that it's really more about the specialized training that they've received after they've graduated rather than the type of degree and license they have. So again, those are kind of all just the initial things that you're going to see right from the get-go. And then you can start to see, I'll pull up at the top here. So this little button over here means that there's a video of the person. So you can hear them talk. It's like a 15-second video. It's a very short video, but you can get a little bit of a sense of a person's essence and energy from that. So feel free to play around with that. But mostly, everybody should have a professional headshot listed. All this information should be listed for them. And you can scroll down, you can see this person's a registered dietitian. That's pretty uncommon in Psychology Today. They usually filter out for that. So again, just keep in mind, if there is somebody that isn't a licensed mental health professional, that it should be listed. And then let's play around with what a profile looks like. So let's click on Brittany here. Brittany, I will just name in transparency, is an old colleague of mine, but specializes in grief and cancer. And so I thought she might have a helpful profile for us to look through. So ideally, you're going to have somebody who lists, their training, the way in which they approach clients, the way in which they approach therapy in general. So you can read a little bit about them. You can see that she's in-person available in person and online. And when you click on the profile, instead of the zip code, it should have the full address that comes up as well. So you can see what works for you. This email me button, similar to up here, is going to have a direct email to that person. So when a therapist gets an email, it'll say email from Psychology Today, and then they can respond to you directly. So you can email them. You can also see right here my website. So that's going to bring you to Brittany's website specifically. Some therapists only have a Psychology Today profile. They don't have a separate website. I think that this leading to their other website is going to help you get the most information possible. So this is a button that a lot of people don't know about. And so I think it's important just to name, if you find somebody that you like on Psychology Today, go to their website. You'll get a lot more information about them. And then share if you're looking for somebody else, you can send the link. Again, you can only list three or four different specialties. So the fact that Brittany has cancer listed as one of hers, similar to all of those people on that screen that we filtered out for, it means that they see the majority of folks on their caseload probably are dealing with cancer, or they have some specialized training in cancer support. You can see specialized training, grief and loss, cancer support, for example. A lot of folks list anxiety and depression as kind of general things. With the kind of things that ovarian cancer brings, it is helpful oftentimes to find someone who specializes in that in particular. Oftentimes, therapists will list a free 15-minute consultation. I will recommend really taking advantage of this. Typically, if you call this number, you're going to get their voicemail just because therapists are, in session with clients. So feel free to leave a message and then they'll call you back for that free consultation. You can also email them and set up a time for that free consultation. That 15-minute conversation is really going to be a really helpful tool for you to be able to understand if you kind of feel like it's a good fit with that person. The last section of this page, the financial piece, you can see what insurance Brittany takes. So Aetna, Blue Cross, Medicare, and out of network. If you are ever struggling to figure out what kind of therapist your insurance will cover, you can look through your insurance provider. They should have a list kind of similar to the like find a doctor in our network list. They typically have a mental health component of that as well. So that's another directory that you can search through that's specific to your insurance. If you're finding it difficult to find somebody who does take your insurance through something like Psychology Today. And then finally, you can just see in practice for 14 years, kind of training and education, things like that. And then specialties and experience, again, top specialties. And then there's particular expertise that lots of folks, you can list lots of different things. You can see their endorsements all down here. It's just other clinicians who have said, they're wonderful, their focus, their treatment approach, and then finally a map of where they are in the city. So that is what a Psych Today profile tends to look like. You can filter through lots of different experiences to find folks that work for you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen just to be able to have you see me. So with that, I hope it provided a little extra help when you're looking for a provider that works for you. Psychology Today is by no means the only directory out there. There are lots of other ones, and I'm happy to list them in our mental health resource library as well. Zen Care tends to be one. ZocDoc, Therapy Tribe is another one. Open Path Collective is a sliding scale directory for therapists. And so you can, take a look, find some directory that works for you. And my recommendation would be to reach out to at least 3 therapists. Sometimes, things obviously happen. Those emails get lost in spam, or somebody's on vacation and they don't call you back for a week, right? For example, a therapist should always call you back. And at the same time, you want to kind of cast a wide net to start. If you are really struggling to find some support, you can always reach out to the staff at NOCC, and we're happy to connect you with our particular local resources as well. So reaching out to the regional director in your area is an idea. You can also reach out to me directly and to be able to get some support. So that way you can find somebody that feels like a right fit for you. So I hope that this provided a little bit of an extra sense, and I wish you luck in your search.